In this tutorial, we explain the spiritual concept of the law of karma and destiny. The spiritual purpose of our lives is to settle and complete our destiny and subsequently our accumulated account. Therefore, experiencing happiness or sadness according to our destiny. And the second and most important aspect is to do spiritual practice to grow spiritually and therefore come out of the cycle of birth and death. Let's look at an example to understand destined events and events due to our own free will. Now here a person parks in a proper parking zone, obeying all the traffic rules. And while he is in his office, a tree falls on his car. This is an example of an event which one has no control over and is typical of a destined event. Now in this example, a person drives home absolutely drunk, in spite of knowing that it is wrong to do so. And sure enough, what happens? He hits the tree. This is an event which happens due to a person not exercising his free will properly. All major events in life are mostly 100% destined events. These are events such as the family we are born to, the person we marry, the major illnesses that we have, the time of our death. Destiny is considered a spiritual root cause of both major happy events and painful events in our lives. Apart from just negative accounts with other people, creating problems in life, there are other spiritual elements which can influence us as part of our destiny. The first and most commonly experienced problem by people is distress caused by ancestors who have departed and are in the afterlife. We have covered the reasons why this happens in depth on our website. The second is where people are affected by or possessed by ghosts. Both ghosts and departed ancestors can and do cause various problems in our life at a physical, psychological, and spiritual level. Every person is affected by these problems, whether they know it or they don't know it. A reduction of vital energy within us causes us to be lethargic. People who experience this problem complain of waking up tired in the morning, even after a good night's rest. A block in the spiritual energy system or the kundalini within our bodies. This can cause various ailments. For example, a block in the anahat or heart chakra without necessarily having any clinical signs. Black magic or voodoo is a reality, and when done on a person, it can have very damaging effects. Distressing vibrations in the premise that we work and live in. It can cause problems such as ill feeling among workers getting sick often, and very low efficiency. Another interesting fact is that the person that one marries is generally the person that one has the most give and take account with. In this chart obtained through spiritual research, we show an approximate percentage of the give and take accounts across various relationships of an average person. Through spiritual research, we have found that even the compatibility between two people is decided mainly by spiritual factors. As you can see from the table, psychological and physical factors account for just a small percentage of the reasons why couples will be compatible or not. The main spiritual factor is the give and take account or the destiny between two people. Depending on the severity of destiny, a person's destiny can be categorized as mild, medium, or severe. Let's look at a few examples of destiny as per their severity. Mild destiny can be considered as minor illnesses and more than average efforts required to get a life partner. Medium destiny constitutes major financial losses, major marital problems, and the inability to have children. And severe destiny would include major accidents, severe disabilities, and untimely death. As destiny is the main spiritual cause of problems in life, the only way to overcome one's adverse destiny is by doing spiritual practice. When we do spiritual practice as per the 6 basic principles, we begin to burn our destiny. Do refer to other tutorials to understand the 6 basic principles of spiritual practice. Depending on the type of destiny, higher amounts of spiritual practice need to be done to nullify it. In the case of severe destiny, only the grace of a saint can nullify destiny. Please refer to the website to understand who is a saint and what spiritual practice one can do to start your spiritual journey. Let's take a look at an example of how spiritual practice can help nullify our destiny. Remember our previous example where A swindles B? And now that A has to suffer 5 units of pain from B for the account to be settled? Well, if A starts spiritual practice as per the 6 basic principles, then the spiritual energy generated from the spiritual practice goes towards nullifying the give and take impression in B's mind, and B then forgets about the account that he has with A. Quite often, when a seeker starts spiritual practice in earnest as per the 6 basic principles, the spiritual energy generated goes towards settling accounts. It is for this reason that while 2 seekers at the same spiritual level may put in the same effort and time in their spiritual practice, their spiritual growth will mostly differ. The spiritual practice of a person who has more negative accounts will be used to nullify the negative accounts first before being used for spiritual growth. At this point, I would like to illustrate how we get trapped in the cycle of birth and death due to our willful action. Let's say a person has 100 units of accumulated account or sanchit karma. Now in the current lifetime, the same person is slated to complete 6 units of destiny from his sanchit karma. This means that after the current lifetime, he should be left with just 94 units to settle. And that means that's roughly about 16 to 17 lifetimes before he should be able to settle his entire sanchit karma. However, practically, this does not happen. Due to willful action, a person generally creates 10 more units of accounts. So at the point in time of death, the person goes back with 104 units. This means that one continues to get stuck in the cycle of birth and death due to improper use of one's free will or willful action. We are now in Kali Yuga, the era of strife. The element of pain in one's destiny is most likely to increase as one keeps on getting born in Kali Yuga. If we use our willful action to do spiritual practice, then the result would be that within 1 to a few lifetimes, we could get out of the cycle of birth and death. I'd like to share with you another example in this regard. Nicole takes Kristen to a satsang. An impression of the benefits of spiritual practice is created in Kristen's mind. Kristen starts spiritual practice and then begins to grow spiritually. Here, no account is created, no merits or demerits, as the activity and the actions are in line with our basic purpose of life, which is to grow spiritually. This is an example of how willful action, when used towards spiritual practice, does not incur any accounts. There are many planes of existence. However, Earth is the only plane of existence where one can do spiritual practice and grow spiritually, and thereby settle our accumulated account or sanchit karma. It is for this reason, to get a human birth is very precious. The purpose of our lives is not to create merits or demerits, but to go beyond them with spiritual practice. Merits and demerits both keep us in the cycle of birth and death. Do refer to our article on where we go after death to understand the importance of our time on earth. If you want your spiritual practice to be effective, it is important that it conforms to the 6 basic principles of spiritual practice. And if spiritual practice is done sincerely, regularly, and in progressively higher steps, then it is possible for a person not only to overcome all his destined accounts, but also his entire accumulated account in one lifetime itself. If you think that this tutorial will help your near and dear ones, please do forward the link to them. That's all for this tutorial. Thank you for joining us.